started when I was on a beach in Lyme Regis in Dorset. I was looking around, and I spotted this rock on the ground. I picked it up, and I just found it really fascinating. It stood out to me because it contained lots of holes, and I wondered how the holes were made. I took it home, and I looked inside the rock, into the caverns that it contained, and I started to research how the holes were made. And it was an unbelievable discovery that what actually created the holes was sea creatures that lived inside the rock. The idea that a rock is a vulnerable thing is interesting, because it plays on the mind, as you think of a rock as a solid, hard substance, but it is amazing to think that these soft creatures can create holes within it. So the creatures that live inside, there's the worm, and the worm creates small paths through the rock, these thin tubes, and they do this through excreting, by weeing. Their wee contains acid, and this dissolves the limestone or the chalk rock in which they live. That was a really fascinating, strange thing to think, that through their own wee, they create their home. A short walk from Cardiff is Lavernock, and here I encountered the other creature that lives in these rocks, the mollusk. The tide was low, and I saw lots of these holes in the slabs of rocks, and within them was living and breathing mollusks, and every now and then they would spurt out water, and it was very funny to watch. I was able to open up some of the rocks, because they're made of such soft rock, and I slowly parted the pieces, and what was unveiled was all the mollusks, quite a lot of them, living, having embedded themselves within it. During a trip to Italy, I was in a place called Orvieto. I went into the Orvieto Underground, which is a set of caves, a huge network beneath the city. And as I was walking around, I instantly started to think of my rocks, and thinking of the similarities between this cave and the world of the worm inside the rock. And from this, the paintings began. So I decided to project my paintings onto the rocks. The projection of the paintings also worked to play further with the relationship between the interior and the exterior of the rock. But also these places, when seen together, seem to be imploding on each other. The moving projections keep it in a constant changing state, and the rocks transform and take on new characters and personalities as they change. This constant change reflects the history of the rocks themselves, and ultimately the evolution of the universe. It felt like the colours were bleeding onto the surface of the rocks, and how the colours that I'd used in the paintings transferred through projection was quite interesting. The use of mirrors multiplies the rocks, and by moving around creates the effect as if you're underwater. It portrays where the rocks originated, where they are from. They would have been underwater. Their life is such a mystery to us because of their permanence against our transient state. As we endeavour to understand them, they're incomprehensible, and that is what makes them so wonderful.